Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wicked Encounters, where we explore just what goes bump in the night. I'm your host, Allie, and it's every horror fan's favorite time of year, October. In celebration of the spookiest month, I've compiled a list of movies that I think are worth sharing with you guys, and I'm calling it the 31 Days of Wicked Horror. We're on the 11th day of October now, or we would have been if I didn't have the files completely bug out and break on me. It's really the 12th day, but this video was intended to be posted yesterday. So while we didn't get one on the real 11th day, you're getting a double feature for day 12. In case it's your first time checking in, I'll tell you how I've selected these movies that I believe are worthy enough for you to watch. First off, none of the movies are going to be older than 20 years, so we can add some newer videos to our must-watch list instead of continuing to repeat the same ones from 50 years ago. Yes, we get it. You love revving up a chainsaw and pretending you're Leatherface. Please stop giving your children PTSD. Secondly, I will be providing the synopsis and plot of the movies for those who may not like surprises or just want to come to listen to know what the movies are about. There will be a slide letting you know when we're coming up on it, and I'll let you know where it's safe to click on to avoid spoilers. Also, while many of the movies are streamable, I'm not going to provide the info on where you can watch them because it varies depending on where you live, and streaming services love removing and adding movies like there's no tomorrow. Finally, I'm going to give you some reasons as to why the movie stands out and why I think you'll like it. So, 11th on our list is Insidious. Insidious is a 2010 supernatural horror film directed by James Wan and written by Lee Wannell, with production by Haunted Movies, Stage 6 Films, Alliance Films, and IM Global. The movie centers on a family terrorized by malevolent spirits after their son mysteriously falls into a coma. The film is known for its eerie atmosphere, inventive scares, and the introduction of a unique horror concept known as the further. I'm going to go more in depth and go over the plot of the movie now. So if you'd like to skip, you'll know where to skip to in 3, 2, 1. The story begins with the Lambert family moving into a new home. Josh Lambert and his wife Renee are settling in with their 3 children, Dalton, Foster, and their infant daughter, Callie. Renee is a stay-at-home mother and aspiring musician, while Josh is a school teacher. Soon after moving in, strange occurrences begin to disturb the household. Renee hears odd noises, objects moving on their own, and the house has an unsettling atmosphere. One day, Dalton goes into the attic, curious about a noise he hears. As he climbs the ladder up to turn on a light, he slips and falls, hitting his head. The next morning, Dalton doesn't wake up. Panicked, Renee and Josh rush him to the hospital, where doctors inform them that Dalton is in a coma. However, they cannot explain the cause as there are no signs of brain injury or trauma. 3 months pass and Dalton remains in a coma. The family brings him home where they can care for him, but the supernatural disturbances intensify. Renee becomes increasingly frightened as she hears strange voices through the baby monitor, sees ghostly figures, and finds disturbing drawings in Dalton's room. Foster, Dalton's younger brother, expresses fear of his comatose brother, claiming he doesn't like it when Dalton walks around at night, despite being in a coma. Unable to bear the escalating horror, Renee convinces Josh to move the family to a new house, but the move does not bring peace. The paranormal activity continues, with Renee seeing apparitions and hearing terrifying sounds. One particularly horrifying moment occurs when Renee encounters a demonic figure standing behind her baby's crib. Desperate for answers, the Lamberts enlist the help of Josh's mother, Lorraine, who contacts Elise Rainier, a renowned psychic, and her team of paranormal investigators, Specs and Tucker. Upon arriving, Elise immediately senses a powerful and malevolent presence in the house. She explains that the problem is not the house, but Dalton himself. Elise reveals that Dalton has the ability to astral project. His spirit can leave his body, and travel to different realms while he sleeps. Unfortunately, Dalton has unknowingly traveled too far into a dark and dangerous dimension known as the Further, a place inhabited by the tortured souls of the dead and demonic entities. Dalton's spirit is now lost in the Further, leaving his physical body empty and vulnerable to possession by malevolent spirits. Elise conducts a seance to communicate with Dalton and locate his spirit. During the seance, the demonic entity that has been haunting the family known as the lipstick-faced demon violently attacks, disrupting the seance and causing physical harm to those present. The demon, a terrifying figure with a red face and claws, is revealed to be holding Dalton captive, intending to possess his body permanently. Lorraine then reveals to Josh that as a child he too had the ability to astral project, which led to his own terrifying encounters with a malevolent spirit, the Bride in Black, who wanted to possess him. Elise helped suppress Josh's memories of these events to protect him. However, given the severity of Dalton's situation, Josh must confront his past and use his own astral projection abilities to enter the Further and rescue his son. In the climactic sequence, Josh undergoes hypnosis to enter a trance and project his spirit into the Further. He navigates the dark and eerie landscape, encountering various malevolent spirits along the way. He eventually finds Dalton chained in the demon's lair, surrounded by horrific images and objects. The lipstick-faced demon chases them as they try to escape, but Josh manages to free Dalton and guide him back to his body. Meanwhile, in the real world, the spirits of the Further begin to invade the Lamberts' home, causing chaos and terror. Elise and the others struggle to protect Josh and Dalton's bodies as they attempt to return. In a tense and terrifying sequence, Josh confronts the Bride in Black, who has been pursuing him since childhood, and demands she leave him alone. Josh and Dalton successfully return to their bodies, and the paranormal activity seemingly ceases. The family is relieved and begins to recover from their ordeal. But as Elise prepares to leave, she senses something is wrong. She takes a photograph of Josh, and in that moment, Josh, now possessed by the Bride in Black, strangles Elise to death. Renee discovers Elise's body and finds the photograph, which reveals that Josh has been possessed. The film ends with Renee hearing Josh whisper her name, and as she turns to face him, the screen cuts to black, leaving the audience with a chilling cliffhanger. Hello! Did you bring popcorn? No? What the hell? I thought that's where you went. Whatever. To those who stayed, I hope you enjoyed what you heard enough to give it a watch. And for those who skipped, if you like ghosties and paranormal events, I think you're really going to enjoy this one. But I bet you're also wondering why it made it onto the list. What makes Insidious stand out? Well, for one, it's an innovative concept. Insidious introduced the concept of the Further, a unique and terrifying astral dimension where malevolent spirits and demons reside. This idea of astral projection and a spirit world that exists parallel to our own adds a fresh twist to the haunted house genre, making the film feel original and distinct from other horror movies. Atmosphere and visual style. James Wan crafts a suspenseful and eerie atmosphere throughout the film. The use of lighting, shadows, and color, especially the stark contrast between the real world and the dark, surreal world of the Further, creates a haunting visual experience. The film's unsettling imagery and the design of the demon and other spirits add to the overall sense of dread. Sound design. The sound design in Insidious is particularly effective, using a combination of silence, jarring noises, and an unnerving score composed by Joseph Bishara, who also happened to play the lipstick-faced demon. The high-pitched strings and sudden bursts of sound are designed to unnerve the audience, contributing to the film's intense and frightening atmosphere. Subversion of genre tropes. While Insidious starts as a typical haunted house story, it quickly subverts expectations by revealing that the haunting is tied to the characters themselves rather than the location. The idea that the supernatural occurrences follow the family even after they move adds a new layer of horror, as it suggests that there is no escape from the evil pursuing them. Strong performances. The film is anchored by strong performances, particularly from Rose Byrne and Patrick Wilson, who convincingly portray parents dealing with the terror of losing their child to an unseen force. Lin Shaye's portrayal of Elise Rainier is also notable, as she brings a sense of wisdom, authority, and compassion to the role of the psychic, making her a memorable character in the horror genre. And I'm so glad to see Lin Shaye in other places now, like, oh my god, she's such a great actor. Effective scares. Insidious is filled with memorable and inventive scare scenes that rely on tension, timing, and atmosphere, rather than just cheap jump scares. The film also employs unsettling imagery and disturbing moments that linger in the viewer's mind long after the movie ends. Mythology and world building. The film creates a rich mythology around the concept of astral projection and the further, which is further explored in the sequels. This world building helps Insidious stand out as it introduces a new supernatural lore that differentiates it from other horror films focused on ghosts or demonic possession. Blend of psychological and supernatural horror. Insidious skillfully blends psychological horror with supernatural elements. The film explores the fear of losing a child, the terror of the unknown, and the psychological toll of being haunted by malevolent forces. This combination makes the horror feel more personal and intense, as it taps into deep-seated fears that resonate with the audience. Impact on the horror genre. Insidious was a critical and commercial success, helping to revive interest in supernatural horror and inspiring a wave of similar films. It also solidified James Wan's reputation as a master of modern horror, leading to the creation of other successful franchises like The Conjuring. The film's influence can be seen in the increased focus on atmosphere, tension, and creative scares in subsequent horror movies. Insidious stands out in the horror genre due to its innovative concept, eerie atmosphere, and effective scares. The film's exploration of astral projection and the terrifying dimension of the further, combined with strong performances and James Wan's masterful direction, make it a memorable and influential entry in modern horror cinema. And that's all that I have on Insidious. But don't worry, I have 20 more movies that I'll be sharing with you. What do you think they could be? How do you feel about Insidious being on the list? Would it make it onto yours? What is your opinion about the further? Spooky or just confusing? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to discuss horror more in depth with you all, so feel free to join the Wicked Encounters Discord group. If you like what I do and want to support me, maybe consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and clicking that little bell icon so you know when I post. If you want to support me in other ways, maybe check out my Patreon. Speaking of, I'd like to give a great big thank you to my patrons, Nakala and Beefalump. You guys are making this a great spooky month. Thank you. Well, that's all I've got time for today. So remember, I'm Allie, this is Wicked Encounters, and I'll see you next time. Bye!